Welcome to Beyond Sunday, the podcast where faith meets everyday life and where the word of God extends far beyond the pews. I'm your host, Lorenzo Warren, and I pastor New Life Tabernacle Carrollwood. And we are back, as I promised, with part 2 of this discussion on health and our spiritual walk. And I have with me again, Sister Kenyatta Harris. And listen, we're diving right back in because I don't want us to miss out on any of this because we need this. And I know that we will be forever changed by having this dialogue right now. So as we pick it back up, continue to enlighten us, please.
I mean, I don't know how much enlightening I really can do outside of learning to understand my triggers of what's me, what's the enemy, and realizing that most of it's me. Most of it's me, and are the appetites that we have learned, the behavior that we've learned over the years. You know, it was a habit to go home, leave church even, and just go get a snack, go eat. Learning now how bad it is for you to eat at night, it's just has been a game changer just for your health in general. I really feel like the late night eating, if people simply stop doing that, their health would be highly transformed.
Really?
If you're eating late at night, number one, your body doesn't have the energy to digest as well as it would in the daytime. Eating at night, you release a lot more insulin than you would, say, if you ate that same meal at 5 o'clock in the daytime. Your blood sugar goes higher, your insulin levels go higher, everything goes higher because your body is just not equipped to handle food at night. And when I say at night, I mean after, say, 7:30. 7:30 is probably a little bit late. Most health professionals that are focused on this particular way of eating, they stop eating at 5 o'clock. I remember growing up eating dinner at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, that's like dinner time.
Dinner time. Nowadays, our dinner time is between 7 and 8.
Yeah.
If not 8:30. You know, our dinner time have shifted. And then after that 5 o'clock meal, I don't remember having snacks like that.
After you ate dinner, that was pretty much it.
Kitchen,
yeah.
And once somebody washed the dishes, kitchen is closed. But now we eat around the clock. And so we've created a habit of always having a snack, always having something to eat. And every single time we have something to eat, we have an insulin release. All that insulin is causing all that inflammation, is causing all the problems. It's causing the blood pressure problems, the liver problems, the kidney problems, all of that. And that's because we have gone from eating 3 square meals a day to we got breakfast, we got a snack, we got lunch, we got a snack, we got dinner, we got a snack, we got a snack, we got a snack. And then it's bedtime and we wake up and we repeat it over. So really, we're eating all the time. And it's designed by people who are manufacturing food. You know, that the saying that breakfast is the most important part of the day. You know where that came from?
Where?
Kellogg's.
Of course.
Kellogg's created that. Well, now everybody thinking, oh, I got to eat breakfast. It's the most important part. No, they just wanted to sell you some cereal. And then the cereal that you ate was causing your blood pressure, your blood sugar to spike all the way up in the air. And then you got to come down. Now you need something else to bring it back up and bring it. And then you're in this vicious cycle. And then the vicious cycle is causing you the weight gain. It's causing the sleeping problems. It's causing all kind of things. And it's really because of what we're eating and how often we're eating. So There's even been studies. You can eat the same junk food if you just eat junk food at morning, noon, and 5, 6 o'clock. No more junk food. You are better off than you're eating every 2 hours throughout the day.
Now, let me ask you this. Does that change because, you know, if you look back in time, we used to have our schedules were just so much differently, right? Most people worked, a 9 to 5 or a 7 to 3. Like it was a lot of daytime stuff, and you had some people that worked the graveyard. Well, now it's a toss up. It's a mixed bag. Mm-hmm. So if someone's life is, they're working 11 p.m., 7 a.m., they're sleeping during the day. Does it have that same impact, or does,
No, our circadian rhythm actually affects how our body metabolizes food. So even if you work the night shift, if you're eating at night, it's not good for you.
Wow.
Because we should eat when the sun is out. If we're eating when the sun is down, we're increasing our level of insulin.
Wow. Well, folks, there you have it.
At one point, I was dealing with a lot of sleep issues. And one, it was caused by too much exposure to blue light. This little device right here, this phone. That plus eating at night. Eating at night is going to impact your sleep.
Which is funny. The phones now, that's why they have that whole nighttime mode or bedtime mode, because they know.
Yeah, they know that, but we don't know that. We don't realize that. So we really need to be wearing blue light glasses when we're working on the computer. The less blue light we have, the better. We really should aim, even in the mornings, to get 10 minutes of what's called the first light. Between the first 2 hours of the day, if we get 10 minutes of sunlight, we'll sleep better at night because it's starting to reset our circadian rhythm. And eating outside of that and not getting the light that we need is causing us to have.
So would that be like, getting up, opening the blinds, open the curtains, or do they need to go outside?
It's better, opening the blinds is okay, but it's better if you go outside.
Gotcha.
It's better if you go outside. Not only that, and this sounds real tree hugger-ish, but I promise it's not. If you can go outside and put your feet on the bare grass, like those things actually do affect your circadian rhythm. And here's the thing, I'm the type of girl, I'm gonna try everything. And I'm only telling you this because I tried it and it worked. I have tried, y'all wouldn't even believe the stuff that I've tried, but I tried that and it worked. Like my morning walks really just became such a ritual to me. They totally affect my mood. They affect the rest of my day, everything. The morning sunlight is everything. And if you could do that at night too, there's red light that comes with the sun. If you can have a walk after dinner, that is one of the most effective ways to help regulate your blood sugar. So here's some tips, and all of this stuff, y'all. Like I'm a YouTube guru. Like I've read the books, but I love the podcast too. But the things that have helped most in kind of helping with health is when you do eat. It's really good for you to do a couple things. Number one, the order that you eat your food in is really important if you're having any type of blood sugar issues, which most of us have. 90% of America has metabolic issues. 90%
wow.
of America has.
So that lets us know, people, it's not just your race, right? Because we that's been pushed, right? That we think it's just certain cultures or certain 90%. That's almost everybody.
Yeah. So the order that you eat your food in, so you should eat vegetables first, then protein, and if you're having carbs last, and that will help your body digest the carbs to where it won't shoot your blood sugar up as high. It has made a marked difference. And we
probably eat backwards.
Yep, we eat our carb first, we eat our fries first, then we're gonna eat the sandwich, then we're gonna eat some sweet again.
Yeah.
So if you eat your vegetables first, the fiber in the vegetables help slow down the digestion of the carbs and protein as well. Never eat carbs alone. Don't eat the crackers. Don't eat the cookies on an empty stomach. Don't eat carbs by themselves. Instant blood sugar spike. And I know this from wearing my CGM.
Wow.
Don't eat carbs. So always pair your carbs with either a fat or a protein, preferably a protein. Most definitely a protein. Try to eat your protein with a carb. So if you're going to eat an apple, try to eat it with some almond butter, some peanut butter. If you're going to eat a cookie, I like Jalen will come home from school and he knows now. He goes to grab a granola bar. Hey, get some protein with that. So he'll just go grab some lunch meat, some nitrate-free lunch meat or whatever. Like, I'm going to call you out every time. The crackers, nope, he needs the protein. I'm not going to stop. He's 15. He's going to eat the carbs. I can't stop him from eating the carbs, but I can say get some protein with that.
But that's about training, though. You're helping build the discipline that's going to change his adult life.
Absolutely. So, and he's a person that eats one thing at a time. I'm like, Jalen, you got to eat the protein first. You got to eat it. He'll eat the vegetables first, but he still wants the fries before he wants whatever. But I'm like, eat the vegetables, eat the protein first. The other thing is taking a walk after your meal. That will significantly reduce the blood sugar spike because you're actually using the blood sugar that you just created. It will help digest your food and it will significantly reduce the spike. So those three things are key. Other things that you could do are drink apple cider vinegar before. Most people are not willing to do that, but it definitely still does help.
Wow. Again, this is just so practical.
There is I wish I could remember her name. Jessie, she has a weird last name. But she's called the Glucose Goddess on social media. Go look her up. I not only watch her on social media, but I read her book. Her book is great. It really is great. It'll teach you how to eat. And she actually discovered it. She was a biomedical student or she has a real chemistry degree, but she didn't discover it because she was searching for it. She discovered it because she was going through some major depression, and she realized that when her blood sugar was balanced, that her mind was at ease. So the blood sugar is not just affecting you physically, it is affecting you mentally. It's your stability and your mind is actually going on that same roller coaster ride with the blood sugar.
Wow. Which now helps you understand why it's so hard to pray, to focus, to have a moment of any type of spiritual value, because my body out of whack.
Your body is out of whack and your mind is out of whack. And it's with the mind that we serve Christ. So if your food is affecting your mind, again, this is not accidental. Yeah. It's not accidental that they started stripping all the fiber and the protein out of wheat. The Lord said he would feed us with the finest of the wheat. So it's not the wheat that's actually making us sick. The number of people that are gluten intolerant now is ridiculous. And it's because our food is so genetically modified. It is so tampered with that it's not food anymore. It's called dead food.
What's interesting, it's funny you bring up wheat specifically. I seen something here recently and they were talking about literally the wheat that's used in America is illegal in a lot of other countries.
As well as a lot of other products that we use. Like some of the labels that they put on in other countries, like they literally will label like Ragu and Kellogg's Frosted Flakes with toxic. Like how we have the cigarette warnings, they got warnings on that in other countries. On just basic stuff that we just eat every day because they know it's toxic.
Wow. I remember, I'm not going to mention the name, but there was a company that I worked for and they produce a beverage, and that beverage, one of the key ingredients, the sweetener, high fructose corn syrup, just literally north of us here in Canada, high fructose corn syrup is banned.
Yeah.
So they have to produce it differently there.
And if you even look at the different sodas, say from United States versus somewhere in Europe, the sugar content is very different. It's not the same. They pump us full of whatever they can.
Yeah.
Whatever they can that they can get past the FDA.
And the FDA approves everything. I'm convinced they approve everything at this point.
They absolutely do. A lot of the skin products that we use, the air fresheners, all that stuff, it's toxic. I remember burning a candle in my home, and me and my husband were sick for 3 days. And it's because of the phthalates and all of the things that are in there. So now, like I'm one of those crunchy moments. Like you come in my house, there's no chemicals.
Yeah.
We don't have. We've got some special detergent for this, a special detergent for that, a special lotion for this. None of that stuff comes in my house because it literally is toxic.
And you know, the more you look into it, it's so true. There was a time where I'd be like, man, people are just going too far. But the more you look into it, the more you begin to realize it, right? There's so many things. Even you start talking about personal products. I've had to switch deodorants. I've had to, we've had to switch up on some of body washes. And like, we've had to do these things. And I noticed some of this the most is like when our children were born because of their reactions to certain things.
Right.
We had to change laundry detergents because one of the girls just broke out from, and so my wife she got so much more intentional in that stuff.
Yeah. And honestly, if I go to a hotel and I forgot soap, I'm going to use the soap. I'm not so, because at the end of the day, I'm still saved and I'm still looking for the rapture. So I know we're going to die of something, but I'm not going to be dumb about, just bringing every chemical in the world into the house. I'm gonna use the Sure if that's all I got, but I'm also going to be intentional in my daily walk of, let's just be smart about this. Let's not be sick when we don't have to.
Facts. Because how much praying are we asking God to heal us of things that we do? And I remember having this conversation one time. There was in the message that I had done and I had been preparing for, the Lord really began to deal with me about the whole temple thing and how sacred the temple was, the tabernacle first, then the temple, how sacred that was and how they had to be consecrated. And I mean, just how he dealt with people that did things in the temple. I mean, you think about, King Uzziah, who was, Israel experienced amazing things. His fall was he went in the temple and it was desecrated because he was going to offer a sacrifice, and he's a king, not a priest. And then he went at the priest the wrong way and God struck him in the forehead with leprosy. That happened because and not that he had been perfect, he had done other things, but that was his downfall. We kind of in discussion earlier was talking about Nebuchadnezzar and then his grandson, his son, that the Lord, when he was good in all of their foolishness, he was good until he went to desecrate the things that Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple. The temple is sacred. And then the Lord turns around and tells us through the apostles, know you not that your body is the temple, right? And so I think that's something we have to catch on. But in dealing with that and seeing that, right, it has to do something to us as far as like how we look at it, how we handle it, and the way God and good night. I missed my thought just then. It ran from me. See, I probably ate too much sugar here, but the way it dealt with me about just understanding that we can't like overlook that there's a value in understanding the importance of the temple and then what we do with it, right? It is that key. It's like it's serious to God. It's just like in a relationship, right? I know with my wife, there are things that they're serious to her. And there's things that just that's just not okay. Right. And I think this is one of them. This is one of those things. And we've prayed a lot for it. We're praying and we're asking God. There it goes. Thank you, Lord. He brought it back. We're praying and we're asking God to heal us of things. But in preparing for that, one thing that came up was like, if I healed you, how long would it be before you're sick again?
Right. Because you're doing the same things. You haven't changed your behavior. I think back to when Bishop used to say, the Lord is not going to do for you what you can do for yourself.
Yes.
And so now I no longer, it's not that I don't pray for people with diabetes or high blood pressure, but when I'm dealing with myself, I'm not asking God to heal me. I'm asking, let me make sure I'm doing what's right. So if my blood pressure goes up or I'm having whatever issue, did I cause that? If I caused that, I need to fix it. That's not really on God, at some level. Now, all metabolic issues are not caused by that. Some people might eat healthy and whatever, and they have those issues. And that's a whole different ballgame. But for the most part, for the most of us, we know it's because of our poor eating habits.
Absolutely.
We just know that. And I think when you were talking about, we're supposed to be separate and our temple is important. So if the Lord is saying, come out from among them and be separate, our rate of metabolic health in the church should not look like the world's.
It shouldn't.
We are the temple of the Holy Ghost. We are made in his image, in his likeness. So his church ought to reflect what he looks like. I seriously doubt that Christ was overweight.
But, we cop out on that because we say, well, it's spiritual. It's meant to be spiritual. But as you help to really unlock, the natural and the spiritual are absolutely connected there.
Mom used to always say, as in the natural, so the spirit.
Yes. And so there is really no way to get around it. And I agree. I doubt the Lord was heavyweight. But even think about this. When we look back when the Lord took Israel out of Egypt, right? He took them into the wilderness, and that's where he gave them all the instruction of what they needed to be, how they were going to live, what needed to happen. And what was included in that was their dietary restrictions before he took them into the promised land amongst the Canaanites. Be ye separate. Don't do what they do. And so I think we might look at that and just be like, nah, he ain't talking about us.
He's talking about everything.
Yeah, he's talking about everything. In the wilderness, he dealt with everything.
He's so precise, and sometimes we don't want him to be.
Facts.
He is precise about everything. But how we look, how we dress, how we eat, everything.
Everything. He deals with everything. That book deals with everything. Now, again, we can find a cop out of anything, but that's also why James tells us not to be just hearers of the word, but also doers, not deceiving yourself. That's literally what it, and it sounds like we got a lot of deception going on.
We have a lot of deception. And not only deception, sometimes we are willingly ignorant. We numb ourselves with food.
Yeah.
Food is a comfort. It's not just a nourishment. It has become a pastime. I mean, you can't go 5 blocks without a place to eat. And never is it more obvious than during a fast how many restaurants there are, but it has become a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
We celebrate with food. We do everything with food. If it doesn't involve food, we don't want it. We lure people with food, even in the church.
Yeah.
You want somebody to come to show up, you better serve some food.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have food. Food is no longer just for survival. Food is life. Food is life.
So, and I know somebody would hear this and be, all right, you're going too far. But I think now we can really begin to say that if we ain't careful, and sometimes we may already be doing it, like we've made food our God.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's hard to say, hard to hear, but we absolutely have made our belly our God.
Which the scripture absolutely speaks about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the talking, like, I'm squirming because I'm like, this is convicting to me. Like, I'm not, that's why I say I'm not looking down my nose at nobody.
No.
Like, I'm living in the same fire and the same heat that you're feeling is what I'm feeling, because it just shows that we are so far from measuring up to where we need to be.
But the first thing you have to do is identify, right? And so this is huge. Now something, and I believe I've heard you say this before, kind of tying back into what you were talking about, the time frames, right, of when we should eat and the best time to stop. And I remember when you said it, I was like, well, duh. We don't say the word like it's pronounced, like it's meant to be. We say breakfast,
mm-hmm.
But the word is
fast.
Break fast. So I just even think about that. You're talking about the times at which would be ideal to eat and the times that we struggle to get up to pray. Would it not be technically?
100%. So really, at minimum, every day we should be fasting 12 hours. That because at that 12-hour mark is when our insulin levels start to reset. So if we stop eating at, say, 5 o'clock, the first time we get up, we're eating at 5. That technically would be a good time to break the fast. But when you're gonna break a fast, usually pray before you break the fast. So if you're praying at 5 o'clock, look at that. Look at that. Man.
Look at that. Look how the math is mathing.
The math is mathing.
That is. So we should be fasting 12 hours.
12 hours. So if you stop eating at 7 o'clock, the next time you put food in your mouth on a regular basis, this is not during some time of consecration. This is just your normal eating. It should be 7 a.m.
Wow. Which again, and this isn't the vein I'm not going to chase this rabbit, but I think you could then, it goes into even some of the things we were talking about before with, the trick of the enemy is so much greater than what we realize, but it's so much simpler than we draw it out to be. See, I've said many a times, like that, the devil is not in, like that. That was a nail in the road that flat your tire.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't what the enemy does. What the enemy does, though, he wants your time, he wants your attention,
Mm-hmm.
he wants all these things that would distract you. Now he's absolutely in all of that, but you just think about how it's all transpired. So most people would struggle to eat their last meal at 5 or 6, and most people aren't home at that time, or they're not in a place to eat a meal because our lifestyle is different. With 9 to 5 is most companies now. If you got a decent job, making a certain amount of money, you ain't working 40 hours a week. You probably in the ballpark of 50 to 55 on the low end, right? And so now what does that look like as far as when you're getting home, right? How many times are families even sitting down to eat together at a certain time because everybody going at different times, doing their own things, and then the impact that has on that calendar, that time frame. People probably struggle to break that, to have a fast for 12 hours or if they do it, they still haven't been able to properly nourish just in a decent manner.
Because we're grabbing and going most of the time.
Yes.
Which is why fast food has just exploded.
Multi-billion-dollar industry.
Absolutely. We're on the go, which is another problem. We don't digest food as well if you're not actually, sitting at your desk eating is not the best. There's what's the mechanism they call it? It's called rest and digest, but there is a medical term for it. But you don't digest food if you're not actually focused and seated, focusing on the food. You don't digest it as well. So if you're eating at your desk and you're doing something, your body does not digest the food as well.
Which then really just debunks the fallacy of multitasking that we think we're so good at.
Correct. You need to decompress. Just take the lunch break. It's actually proven that you are more productive with taking a lunch break than not.
Yeah, that's why Europe does the way they do in many nations over there.
Through it is going to be more productive, but it's not. But that's a sidebar. But you really need to actually take some time, even if it's just 5-10 minutes, to sit down, eat your meal, undistracted, not in front of the TV, not in front of the computer, not standing at the counter because you're cooking other people's food or doing whatever, but sit down and actually take a break and eat your food, and your food will digest better.
Wow. Listen, I know if this is hard for y'all, I'm sitting here at the table having the conversation, having to digest all of this because I'm guilty of it all.
We all are.
I'm guilty of it all.
If there's any person that's not, please call me. I would love to meet you.
Exactly. And I want to know your strategies. That's one. Put that in a book and sell it, please.
Now, so let's talk about some strategies. Some things that I do, I will say I do try to typically eat well.
Yeah.
And when I'm not putting something into my mouth that I should, when I'm putting something in my mouth that I shouldn't be, I know very well that I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I am not of any, I know what I'm doing. But if I am going to eat something bad, I do try to counter it with other things. Like I always drink lemon water. Lemon water helps bring your uric acid levels down. It helps your digestive system. It definitely helps with a little bit of the blood sugar spike. I try to still eat some type of vegetable all the time. So a lot of the diseases that we have come because we don't have enough vitamins. We're not getting enough potassium. That's a lot of the high blood pressure issues. We're just simply not eating enough greens. And
vitamins, not supplements, but naturally getting them from natural sources.
Food. So if we ate enough vegetables, number one, we wouldn't be so hungry for the junk.
Yeah.
We'd be kind of full. So if we ate enough vegetables, that would help us tremendously. If we ate enough greens, we would have a lot of the energy that we're looking for, a lot of the magnesium that we're not sleeping well at night because we're not getting enough, a lot of the vitamin D from not eating the mushrooms and whatever. So some of that stuff, some of the things that we have is because what we're not eating, because we're eating too many nachos and too many burgers and too many chips and too many whatever. So get the nourishment too. So if you're going to eat the junk food, just make sure it's junk in addition to your food.
Yeah.
Eat the real food and then supplement with some junk every now and then.
Strong strategy.
Yeah, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I will never eat a slice of pizza again. This is not happening. I'm going to eat pizza. But I have just started eating a lot more vegetables.
Yeah, because you're a foodie. Just so y'all don't know, she's not sitting here as somebody that don't know what good food tastes like.
Absolutely. Listen,
This is a foodie.
I ate the trash can nachos at Flavor Town on vacation, like I did. But I also ate a salad, you know. I just and not just a what do you call those iceberg lettuce salad, like a real salad with some real greens in there. You have to get the greens, you have to get the vegetables, you got to fill up on good stuff as well.
Yeah. So even in that arena, because again, we've been marketed very well in America, right? How does it? And I know we can't go like all the way down that clip, but even like some of the general ones that are just some complete misnomers, right? Like salad. Like you brought up the iceberg lettuce. Like that's you want to go into some of the real ones. I know too. A lot of people go to like a spring mix or a good night. What's the leaf? I can't think of the other spinach, like a spinach leaf salad, right?
Those are much better than that. The iceberg has almost no nutritional value. It tastes good, but there's not much nutrient there. Now, is it better than a French fry? Yes. But if you're going to try to actually get some nutrients, you need dark green leafy vegetables. So you need your kale, you need your spring salad mix, your spinach. Those are better. And the biggest thing is with your oils, again, you don't want to off the shelf dressings. Just throw them away.
So Wishbone ain't gonna work.
Wishbone, which is my son's favorite, it's not the best. You need something that doesn't have a toxic oil in it.
Yeah.
You need something that has an olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, which it won't be in a dressing usually. And I feel like I'm missing one. I can't remember the other one I said. Olive oil, coconut oil. I'm missing one.
Avocado oil.
Yeah. And you're not going to find that on the shelf at a cheap price.
Yeah.
It's not coming cheap. You're better off just making your own. I don't even buy salad dressing anymore. I just make it myself with a little bit of all the oils that I mentioned, some Dijon mustard, some apple cider or red wine vinegar, and some seasonings.
You know, I found a spot. I think they have another spot located somewhere. I think it's in South Tampa, but over in Carrollwood. And it's like Joe and Sons. Like it's a place where basically you get to go in and make your own vinaigrettes. So they have different flavor infused olive oils and vinegars to be able to mix. And man, they got some stuff. They got some stuff in there.
But it's not cheap, I'm sure.
No, it's not cheap at all.
It's not your Publix BOGO Wishbone.
No, you ain't getting BOGO, no BOGO on that.
Got a little higher in the shelf for these. And if it says sunflower oil is a no, it's still a no. So, you know, they might dress up the name of the oil, but just stick with those. Because what you don't want is a seed oil. And the seed oil comes from the seed of the plant that they press, versus the avocado oil comes from the avocado fruit.
Yeah.
The olive oil comes from the avocado fruit, not the seed. The seed, they got to do all kind of tricks and things in the manufacturing of it to get the oil out. But the fruit naturally has the oil in it for those ones.
So the problem is the process.
The problem is the process.
Which is the issue with most American and Western culture, specifically American, but even in a lot of Western cultures, Western nations, right? It's the process.
Because they sell us things that they call health food that's not health food. Granola bars, they're trash. They're not good for you. They're going to send your blood sugar sky high. You eat some nuts. Nuts is going to be better for you. Don't eat too much, and then make sure that they are either raw or dry roasted. Do not get them cooked in oil.
So you can get so getting the glazed and the ones with the man.
No. Sorry. No.
So have you ever had the pecans?
Listen, on vacation, yes. I had the cone, the fresh ones, the cinnamon ones. Yes, I did. I ate them. But on a regular basis,
Can't do it.
It causes the inflammation. You know, inflammation is the chronic inflammation is what causes disease. And so all those things, the flours, the sugars, the oils, they will cause the inflammation, and that's what keeps disease around. So a little bit of inflammation when you have like an injury is good, but if you have chronic inflammation, it's like your body is saying, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick. all the time, even though you're not sick, and it eventually will make you sick. So you want to get rid of anything that causes inflammation. Fasting really helps with the inflammation, but also drinking lemon water, lime water, your fruits, your vegetables, your uncooked nuts. Those things will actually help bring inflammation down.
These waters, right? Is this cutting the fruit and just dropping it in there? Is this squeezing the lemon or the limes in there?
The fruit will be fine. Like lemon water, squeezing the water, but just fruits and vegetables in general will help bring down inflammation, especially things like ginger and turmeric.
Well, I was thinking about the water.
Infused water.
Yeah, like the water and putting the fruit in there, because I know I've heard from a number of people, right, that they struggle with drinking water, just water, right? But I'm guessing the fruit's going to give it a little flavor to it. But are they just needing to like cut it up, drop it in there, and continue to just kind of fill that up and allow it to kind of give it a little flavor?
Absolutely.
There you have it, folks.
Fine. That would help you drink your water.
And even in that, because I know that plays a big role, properly hydrating this body. How much water should someone be drinking a day?
I've heard very different things. I've heard, half your body weight in ounces. I've heard more. I've heard less. Honestly, you should be able to look at your skin and tell whether you're hydrated or not. Sometimes I can look at my skin like, you have not drank nearly enough water.
Yeah.
Your urine should be almost clear.
Yeah.
If your urine is yellow, not drinking enough.
Dehydrated.
And so, like, by the time when you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. Yeah. You should continuously drink water.
I think that's even something interesting. And a lot of times, you've mentioned a few times in here how the body responds, like the body's letting us know. I think we got to make sure we're being very intentional about that. There's a a while back, I've never been a fan of like painkillers or taking things, but I became more intentional about that. And the thing that came to me is pain is your body's way of communicating with you. And when you take something that kills the pain, you're pretty much putting a muzzle on your body.
Absolutely. Because what I noticed is when I started eating well, I stopped getting headaches. And what I eventually learned is that when my insulin was so high, it caused me to have a headache. Yeah, so I don't get headaches very often. If I get a headache now, I know I have been eating something that I shouldn't have been eating.
Because headaches is your body's way of saying, hey, stop.
Don't do that. You haven't slept enough. You're under too much stress. Stress is another thing that causes our bodies to go haywire. Like a lot of illnesses are associated with stress. And lack of sleep. Not, people that say they burn the midnight oil, unfortunately, burning the midnight oil is killing your health. Not getting proper sleep is your body needs sleep for a reason. You need to reset. It processes, out chemicals. When people eat too close to bedtime, what happens is a lot of the amyloid plaque that's supposed to be cleared out on a nightly basis cannot be cleared out and actually get stored because your body is not digesting how it should be. And they have actually linked that to Alzheimer's.
I don't think that that's any coincidence. I feel like Alzheimer's and what's the other one? Deals with memory. Dementia has increased significantly.
They're actually calling dementia and Alzheimer's that type 3 diabetes.
I've heard that.
Yeah, because a lot of it is sugar and food related long term.
So no, you don't have to get it because someone else in your family had it.
And I don't want to diminish, like there are people that have it and it is hereditary and there are problems, but a lot of it is still linked to food.
Wow.
Yeah. So we get sick. The body is going to get sick. Since sin started on the planet, we're going to get sick. So all of what I'm saying, I don't want to just make it seem like it's so cut and dry because the body is the body and science and all, it is what it is. But we can do our part to help not get sick.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I pray that you are picking that up, right? Nothing is an absolute definite, but a lot of this is very much, we just have, more than anything, I feel like anyone that's listening right now, you should feel a little more empowered.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You should be able to go to the grocery store and say, I'm going to get this and not that because it's a better choice for my body. It's a better choice for my spirit. It's a better choice for my children long term. My children aren't going to have to, take care of me. I remember, visiting my mom in a nursing home at 59 because she was sick.
Wow.
My mom died. None of my mom's siblings from her father lived to the age of 60.
Wow.
Not one of them. And she had 5 siblings. There's one that's living right now, and he is in and out of the hospital with high blood pressure.
Wow.
So when I say I have researched this and I'm coming from a place where I know better. I got to do something different if I'm going to leave Jalen in a different place.
Yeah. Yes. So how does this, and I don't know if there's something you can share with that, like, because I know like this isn't something like you didn't just go on this journey by yourself, but your family are involved slightly, meaning like you said, when Jalen comes in the house, you're going to say, hey, no, include this. How has that been as a part of the journey? Because again, this isn't something that happened overnight, but. So
in terms of my family, me and my husband are kind of weird. Like we both are health conscious at different times. So he will come in, he's like, all right, I'm eating XYZ for the next whatever, and he will just that's what he'll do, whatever. And then he'll fall off the wagon, and then it's our cycle. We both know how to eat well. He has been blessed with the amazing metabolism. Like I don't have those genes. Not sure if Jalen has them either. Jalen works real hard to keep in shape. He was a chubby little kid, but right now he's like lean, but he works at it. So we all try. Like we went on the last day of vacation. Jalen was like, "All right, Monday we eating good," So we all know what to do, and we kind of strive towards it. And then we kind of backslide sometimes, and we kind of go back and forth. But for the most part, we eat well.
But I think more than anything, even just that last statement, the fact that it was Jalen that mentions it, Jalen speaks to the point of, well, no, there's something that's been instilled, which I think that becomes a big thing. Think about this again, going back to scripture, because all of this is about how this impacts our lives, but it definitely has spiritual implications. In Deuteronomy 6, we love Deuteronomy 6 and 4, right? Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, right? And then he tells them, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy mind, all thy strength, right? And then he tells them to teach these commands diligently. Now, remember what I just told you were included in these commands. How they need to eat, how do they need to live, how do they need to pray, the words, all of that was included. And he said, teach this diligently to your children as they walk by the way, as they lie down, right? So there is something to be said, and they will get it. And then you think about principle Solomon told us, raise a child up in the way that they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it.
I was eating, I can't remember what it was, but it was a good, healthy snack, and I was not eating it with a protein. And my son checked me real good. And I had to tell him, well, son, this is actually protein. He was like, oh, okay, I was just making sure. He thought it was a granola bar. And he was like, well, Mom, you're not eating any protein with that. I'm like, it's protein.
Hold on, calm down.
Yeah.
But that's awesome because, again, and I feel like people might think that I desire to be like in an Eastern culture or something, because I've just come to realize so much in our Western culture. We've just missed the mark in some areas, and we've gone astray. Like, it's only in our culture that we have this mindset of, well, we just got to let kids be kids. Well, here's the thing.
Kids are going to grow up to be adults.
They're going to be adults.
Putting the habits in them now. And
I asked this question, what are you longer? If you live the natural lifespan, which right now in America, probably like mid-60s, right? That's your average lifespan for, I think, a man, and a woman might be like 70s, right? You guys live longer. If you live that long, say you live to be 65, do you spend more time as a kid or an adult? An adult. So we're literally saying, waste this time to prepare for the time that's going to be the bigger part of your life.
Right.
No. So we should be because some people are like, well, no, let the kids let them have them Oreos, let them have that. And okay, yeah, there may be a time a little bit, but their lifestyle
Absolutely
has to be catered to something
at
different.
15, I'm still saying no. Shut the cabinet. You can't eat that. No, you're not eating the snack at the middle of the night. No, you can't have these Oreos. It's 10 o'clock at night. So I'm still saying no. And then what I have is also sat him down when I'm talking about the food order and everything. I'm like, look. This is why grandma died early. This is why the family's like this. So I have a why, and I'm not just telling him, well, because it's good for you. No, here's the reality.
Yeah.
We've had those conversations as well. So I can't prevent everything, and he still eats, whatever. But there's not a vegetable that I put on his plate that he doesn't eat, whether he likes it or not. And I don't have to tell him. I don't have to ask him. He just knows, it's Brussels sprouts tonight. We're going to eat these Brussels sprouts. He's just going to eat it. And it's always been that way because he's like, I know that this is important because my body needs it.
Yeah. I think that becomes, that's a huge thing.
And what's great about it too is that on the flip side, while my family has been sickly, Lynn's family has been very healthy. His grandmother was well into supplements and health from, their early age. So she died, in her 90s of just natural causes. She was taking no medications, no nothing. She might have had a cabinet full of Golden Seal and Echinacea and all the things, but she had no physical ailments. And so, Jalen will go and he'll take his beef liver capsules and he'll do whatever in the mornings without me even needing to ask because this is just what we do.
Yeah. And that's powerful. And that's also going to play into if he has those disciplines. And it does make a difference because I can think about little things. Like in my house growing up, we ate ground turkey. That's what we ate. We didn't eat ground beef. So guess what? As an adult, I just eat ground turkey. I don't eat ground beef. Like in my house. Now, of course, if I go out somewhere and if you got a taco for something, well, that's before I stopped eating meat. But when I did, if they had a taco, I wasn't like, is this ground turkey? But in my house, we don't buy ground beef. Have not. I never did because that was something we inherited. And now one thing I did break though is like we didn't eat pork in my house. But I would have bacon and stuff at my aunties and my cousins, and I just realized like that it's good. It's just good.
It's good. Like I don't care how much turkey you put in this bacon, it is not bacon. It's not. And I am on the, a lot of people give up meat and whatever, and there have been studies that show that red meat causes inflammation. But it doesn't cause as much inflammation as the bread you're eating.
Correct.
It doesn't cause as much inflammation as the sugar you're eating. So I'm of the effect. Give me the meat, and I'll leave out the processed stuff. I'll take the nature over the made. Is kind of how I see it. So I personally, I used to be like, no carbs, whatever. Now I'm like, just eat whole foods. Yeah. Those are still gonna be better for your body. If it came from nature, in its most natural form, that's what's best for your body.
Well, so give us another one, right? So I know the greens, right? And so your salads with not the Kraft creamy French dressing, but or if that's my favorite. And even things like Caesar salads, right? We love those, but having natural oils, right? And maybe even making your own, or if you're finding one with the clean label. So, salads, because salads is one people just think if I eat a salad.
No, because I had a salad on a vacation that wasn't clean. No, it had bacon, blue cheese dressing, and all the things. Croutons. Like by the time you get a good salad, it could be trash. It really can. Yeah. So you do have to be mindful of what you're putting on your food. Again, the things to stay away from is flour, sugar, and toxic oils. If you could keep those things, and then anything that is a chemical, any preservative, any emulsifier, any food dye, all those things.
So, and I think even just simply thinking about what a preservative is, just think about what that is. A preservative is meant to preserve. And if it's preserved naturally in the air, what do you think happens in your body?
Absolutely. Like if you go away and you have something on your counter that's still there for 2 days and it's still good to eat, that's not real food.
Yeah.
It's not real food. Like real food should spoil very quickly. So if you leave a piece of bread that you got from the grocery store on the counter and then it's edible in 5 days, probably not real food. That's the thing.
Bread.
Bread is bad.
All types of bread
is bad.
Okay.
Now mainly because our wheat is so processed. All the fiber, all the protein, everything is just stripped from it. So you're literally just eating a substance, a powdered substance. It's just not good for you. It tastes amazing.
It does, especially with peanut butter and jelly.
Gosh, out of the oven with butter, there's nothing like it. But it's not food to your body anymore. Back in the day, when Jesus walked the earth and they actually ground the wheat from the wheat and they mixed it with the oil and they put it in the oven and they didn't add any emulsifiers, any preservatives or whatever, that bread was good. Today's bread is not good.
So we actually probably should stop making that saying, best thing since sliced bread. Yeah. Okay. So greens, hydration, and eliminating the preservatives that are in a lot of things. And a personal example on that. So I had a time with dealing with some blood pressure things. I remember went to the doctor and said, it's not just salt. He said the processed stuff is really good. And then that made me start really paying attention to some things, right? And I like popcorn, right? And I went and looked at the bag with the seeds, right? Mm-hmm. And even the oil that you put on the popcorn, I went and looked at the ingredients on that, right? And then I went and looked at the bag, picking up the ones you put in the microwave, right? And I looked at the bag and I looked at my wife.
25 ingredients on it.
I looked at my wife. I said, baby, they trying to kill us. They literally, because
it's literally, you should have popcorn, oil, and salt. That's it. That's all it takes to make popcorn.
I said, what is in this bag that just the sodium content alone? I looked at there's none in the seeds and there's actually none in the oil. And then it would just be the salt. That's it. But I looked at this bag and you're talking about hundreds upon hundreds of milligrams of sodium alone. I said, what is in this bag? It should only be seeds, oil, and salt.
And if you like popcorn, go get you a paper bag, put you some popcorn seeds in there, some coconut oil, and put that bad boy in the microwave, and it tastes good.
I got the little popcorn maker. I got the little thing, because I just had to start. I said, because this is ridiculous. Yeah. And I found a way that then I was able to start doing a couple other things. Like, I make better popcorn than you.
Right. So that's how I used to make popcorn for Jalen's lunch. I was like, hey, let's just get a paper bag, put it in the microwave, put a little salt and whatever on there. It tastes good.
Yeah.
Without all the chemicals.
And so, well, if you have a lasting thought or that last thought that if you wanted to leave us with something that we would take from this, because there's so much, right? But if you were to kind of put that final bow on it of like to consider this and to apply this in the best way we possibly can, and really just kind of, I guess, get in the heart of what's behind this.
I think the bottom line is that we have to treat our bodies as the temple of the Holy Ghost. What we are feeding, what we are putting in our temple, it matters to God. And it may seem like, oh, well, that's just too deep. But at the end of the day, if it's affecting your body, it's affecting your mind, it's affecting your spirit, it's affecting those around you, it matters much more than you think. Sometimes we live too spiritual. To be completely honest, your spiritual life is practical. We come to church to learn how to live and how to live our everyday life. Why we don't think food is a part of that, I don't know. But I'm coming to hear a message so that I can put it in practice. I'm coming to learn how to train up my kids. I'm coming to learn how to manage my money. I'm coming to learn how to deal with my marriage. I'm coming to learn how to run a business or minister on a job. All that is what the Bible is about. It's about how we live, and how we eat is such a huge part of that. we can't leave it out of the equation. We have to be able to minister from a place of understanding that our bodies are the temple of the Holy Ghost. And if we are going to be conduits of his temple on the earth, or of his spirit on the earth, we got to take care of that temple.
Well, folks, there you have it. I don't know if it can be better said than that. And so I'm praying that as you listen to part one, if you came in on just this one, you got to go back to part one for part two to even make sense. But I think let's take this and let's just begin to apply it. The goal is not for overnight that you think that something's going to change, but it's about, let's start being intentional, because at the end of the day, right, these are the last days, right? The Bible tells us that the Lord wants to do some great things in these last days, but will we be the temples that he can actually flow through and minister to? That determines what we decide to do. And so until next time, this is Beyond Sunday. Look forward to getting with you again soon. God bless.